First of all, thanks for taking time. I know it's busy in DC right now. So just what's the latest on this shutdown? Where are we today? The latest events? How close are we to getting a deal done or getting this done?
Unfortunately, last night, the Senate Democrats once again voted down a clean continuing resolution, which would simply keep the government open. This is the fifth time they've done that. And mind you, this is the same bill that they've supported 13 times in the past under the Biden administration. So it's really not a political piece of legislation. It's not Republican priorities. It's not Democrat priorities. It's really just something that keeps the government open, and they continue to vote it down and try and negotiate other policy priorities that are separate from funding the government.
So what do you believe is the strategy behind this and not just going ahead if this is kind of a non-political thing just to get us back open again? What's behind this?
Well, I think Senator Schumer got a lot of criticism last time when he did not fight President Trump more. And this is all about the Democrats showing their political base that they are fighting President Trump. Unfortunately, at the same time they're doing that, we're going to have service members who are not paid. We're going to have air traffic controllers who are not paid and border agents who are not paid. So it's not a good strategy. It hurts the men and women who are serving our country. And there's a really simple solution, and that's simply just vote to reopen the government, and then let's negotiate on other budget priorities like we always need to make sure that we get a budget in place for the year.
So you mentioned the air traffic controllers. You know, we're a smaller airport here, but still a very busy one. And I checked with Kevin Klein, who is the airport manager, and so far it hasn't impacted. What are you hearing from of our larger airports, Grand Rapids, Detroit? Is there concern there about air traffic controllers maybe not working after a while?
Well, the Secretary of Transportation came out today and addressed this issue, and it seems that yesterday was a more difficult day. Today, people are on the job, but we shouldn't be asking our federal employees to pay to work without being paid. And that's why, I voted 2 weeks ago to fund the government and give it a runway of 7 weeks to November 21st and give us time to negotiate differences in our spending priorities, but not to put the men and women who rely on these funds at risk.
I've seen banter back and forth all day long about back pay. Where does that issue stand, and where do you stand on that issue? Should the furloughed workers get back pay once this thing is resolved?
Well, I think that'll be ultimately decided in the courts. In the past, we've given back pay to furloughed workers. We're in a new environment, though, that, the question is, when the Democrats are advocating for 1.5 trillion more in spending and expanding Medicaid to have people who could be working not to work and giving those benefits to illegal immigrants, those are very different priorities. And so when you start stretching the federal dollars further, then it makes a more difficult situation. But I believe those workers will be paid. But let's get the government back open so we aren't even having to talk about these kinds of issues and make sure that, we value those who are serving our country.
What are your constituents telling you? Are you getting emails, letters? What's on their minds, and how are they guiding you in what's going on?
Well, I believe they appreciate that I've been doing my job. I'm here in Washington today, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we get this work done. Unfortunately, they're seeing that the other side is really digging in their heels and making it all about politics rather than serving the people. And to me, that's a recipe for disaster. But at the end of the day, people recognize that a $37 trillion debt is unsustainable, and we need to find ways to reduce spending and make sure that people are getting the maximum value for their taxpayer dollar. And so when the Democrats are saying, hey, let's shut down the government and try and spend 1.5 trillion more, that's a losing strategy for the Democrats.
Would you say the deficit may be one of the top 5 concerns that you hear from in your district?
I would say people are concerned about it, and we recognize that we have to have a sustainable course of spending. We need to reform programs so that they are there for future generations, and we need to find areas of waste, fraud, and abuse and cut those out. And that's why people in my district supported what DOGE was doing, identifying wasteful spending, fraudulent spending, taxpayer dollar abuse. And we need to continue that in our oversight role in Congress to make sure people are getting maximum value for their tax dollars.